Hello there, lads and ladies. Now, obviously, if you have seen this title of the video, this is not a very lightful matter for me to come to you for. Obviously, it has been heard around the world that an innocent life was taken in a very abrupt and very ill-mannered way, as many lives have been over the past few years, and even to this day, it still disgusts me to see stuff like this. Um, Obviously, if you are not in the know, obviously a man by the name of George Floyd basically uh, was murdered. It was an act of basically mistrust from the police towards the gentleman. The way it was done, that his like the specifics of it are very unclear, but from what I've read and studied on so far, that he had his knee on his throat, which obviously was asphyxiating, and I have seen the footage of it, unfortunately. To hear him cry out for his mother, um, who is passed now, it's just really heart wrenching to see. And this is just like from a common white man to a black man, or a woman to another woman, or color. Basically, I don't see color when I see injustice. In a certain sense, I see only the person, the guilty and the innocent, basically. So I've decided to make this video to share my thoughts and to share my support for all men, women, children, and all people of ages, either black, Native American, Chinese, Japanese, Asian, English, French, all all ethnics, that all lives matter. Not just whites, not just blacks, not just Chinese, all lives matter. And the fact that a system is able to not deal out the correct punishment towards someone who took someone's life, who was clearly begging for help, for begging to breathe, it's just upsetting. I can't even imagine to think of the horrid history that every single black man and woman has gone through, because obviously this is kind of why I was like really hesitant on making this video, because really a white man's perspective shouldn't come into it, really, because I, as a white man, will never understand the trials and tribulations that a black man, a Native American, or an Asian will go through, basically, and any other ethnics out there, really, because being white, I only know my own life's trials, tribulations, basically, because I don't really seem like I want to look on a race's trials and tribulations as like a whole race in its own, because we are all individuals and we all have our own unique situations that we have to deal with, our own obstacles to overcome, in a certain sense. But if there's one thing to take out of all of this, is through tough times and obstacles that we face, we are able to come out of it stronger and better people, and to see the light, in a certain sense. There have been protests all around the world, in Australia for Aborigines, for America for the Black Lives Matter campaign, and even here in Britain. Yes, some protests have kind of broken out in certain sections. Like, I believe I've seen some clips of horses running people over because of spooking them, which is kind of a bit of a ill choice to put on the police, really, because at the end of the day they are just trying to do their jobs to keep things under control. But the thing is, if you bring animals into a hostile environment, well, it's not hostile, but if anything can just like turn like that, then obviously the horses got spooked and unfortunately ran over some pedestrians. Thankfully they're okay, they're receiving treatment and all that. And it's just so lovely to see people come out even during the pandemic to show their support for not just George Floyd, but for all men and women who are under the foot of oppression. Well, it's not really oppression, but it is in a certain sense, because it's not something that people are really taking seriously. Like, they've even said on the news, like, the pandemic is the most important. No, No, it is not. It is not the most important thing. The important thing is to realise that every single person is one. It doesn't matter of the colour of your skin. If I cut my hand open, I bleed red, as does my black brother, and as does my Chinese brother, and as does any other ethnic, really. So the fact that they can just like push it under the rug is really disgusting, in my opinion, really. I mean, they're not trying to push it under the rug, but it needs to be heard, really. It needs to have that presence there, because we're not giving it enough presence, and we're not giving it enough thought for our brothers who've bled over the years, basically, you know. And there have been misreadings throughout the news, basically. So there have been cases of certain cop killings that have happened over the past week or two, and that's something we cannot do. Like, as human beings, when we suffer oppression or when we suffer hatred, our first instinct is to fight back, to push against oppression, which is a very honourable thing to do, but not at the cost of losing your life and losing those around you in a certain sense, and especially if you are hurting innocents. Yes, there are some coppers that are poorly trained. They might not understand the situation very well. They might be given orders that they cannot basically disobey. I'm not defending the officer who unfortunately took George Floyd's life, but I'm just saying that there are innocents within the foundation of the police organisation that are just trying to do their best to protect the cities that they love in their country and their people, basically. Unfortunately, some of them get caught up in these senseless killings, as was George Floyd's senseless killings. And I believe the officer only got, what was it, a third-degree murder or something like that. It wasn't first degree, which I will agree that was not the correct punishment. The man murdered him, and it's as simple as that, really. A man is dead, and unfortunately, it's just due to a system. Like, simply enough, something has to change. I've took 2 months off, mainly because I've just been trying to keep safe, keep my family safe, and I've wanted to take a back step, but I wanted to make this video to basically say to every single one of you, men, women, out there, that all lives matters. Black lives matters, white lives matters, Chinese lives matters, Native Americans, Aborigine, everyone's lives matters. You're not alone in this. Not if we intertwine our fingers and our hands together as one race. We are human beings, not a selection of colours. So with that, if you're watching this, please share this, show your support for your black brothers and sisters, for your Chinese, for your white, for your Aboriginal and your Native American brothers, all ethnics. Everyone deserves to be heard, and everyone deserves the right to basically be themselves and to be the best that they can be. Black Lives Matters. Take care, my friends.